when the Prisoner wine came to us and said, hey, we can help you, amplify this, we were all for it. But more importantly, because we were now surrounded by this amazing team of women winemakers, which was very important for us.
I am curious with regards to the partnership. You mentioned women winemakers, obviously black winemakers as well. Somewhat of a rarity, not somewhat, an overwhelming rarity in this business here. Do you lose control of that through this partnership, or do you maintain that veneer?
Absolutely. One of the main things we talked about in our meetings and discussions up until the acquisition was how much we wanted to be involved. We have to be involved in Domaine Curry because this is our legacy. We started this for the legacy of the Curry women, our daughters, my nieces, so we want to keep that going. And just because we are acquired by another company doesn't mean that we lose sight of that at all.
Your sisters-in-law who co-founded your own wine brand, Domaine Curry, back in 2015. But initially you kind of struggled to get the brand off the ground and get the industry to take you seriously. Why do you think that is?
At first glance, I think the industry can be very intimidating, and you think that there are these constructs that you have to stay within. And so for us, it took us a while to realize that we could really stand on our own two legs with our own vision and be able to grow the brand and make it what we want and really, infuse our essence into the brand and really stand on the fact that 12% of people who are buying wine in the wine industry are black and black females, and that there's a market for it. There's $1.6 trillion worth of revenue going around when it comes to people in the marketplace buying wine that are people of color. And so for us, standing on that and infusing who we are into the wine is so important because it's important to fill that white space in the market.
It was wonderful working with the Prisoner and just really showing, repackaging, redoing the whole design. We came up with a new emblem that shows, one of the things we talk about is we I'm blanking, sorry.
Well, I think what's more important is everything that we do now is research-based.
Yes.
And I think that that's so beautiful. So we're listening to our consumers all of the time and really putting product out into the marketplace that people want, which happens to, ride on the heels of that femininity, which is great. And so it is, the product is a way for us to pay homage to the women in our family and women around the world. And so
what was the primary way that you used to sort of get the word out? Was it through social media? Was it through traditional retail channels? What?
Yeah, a lot lot of our is through social media.
Yeah,
Ayesha,
we know. We've seen her
is
all over
like
the
2013 was when she's like the base, the core, the OG of social media, and so that's a huge thing that helped us as well. And just kind of the partners that we had, having their resources as well, using them as well. But social media is a wonderful thing that can really push forward our passion projects, and so we're happy that we're 10 years into this and still going strong.
Well, I asked that question too because, you have to try to differentiate yourself. Anyone who walks into a wine shop, there's a ton of selection out there. And for those of us who maybe aren't as experienced in it, you don't really know what to pick. You either just pick something because you like the label or maybe somebody recommends it to you. So, in being able to stand out and say, this is Domaine Curry, this is worth buying versus, whatever you're competing against.
This is why we wanted to venture into this with fresh eyes. We've always said we're not yet wine experts, we're students of wine. And so we feel like that lends an approachability to the wine that we're providing for our consumer. And we're really proud of that. It's an ongoing journey. It's a lifelong journey. And
well, I'm curious on that too, because you talk about this idea that you're not experts. And I've interviewed a couple of other black wine vineyard owners and winemakers, and they talk a lot about being able to market this wine to folks who maybe weren't traditionally sort of in that sort of clubby experience. So they came up with more creative names and more creative labels as a way to sort of not just get attention, but to connect with a certain audience here. So how much thought did you two specifically put into that type of marketing when you were first launching the brand?
You know, I think that we tried to keep this as authentic and genuine as possible. And the reason we started this was because the community that we have built in our family and wanting to share that with the rest of the world. As mothers and wives and entrepreneurs, community is so huge for us. And when we were coming up trying to figure out what we wanted to partner with, wine was just such an authentic thing, because a lot of the moments that we have shared in our family and with our friends have been surrounded by a bottle of wine. And so it can just be that. Like, you open a bottle of wine, you smell it, it brings you back to a memory, or you're making a memory in that moment. So
it's very personal.
Absolutely.
When you dig into wine demographics, Black women actually lead the way in buying premium wines. Since 2015, when you first began this adventure, when you first began this business, how do you see the wine industry changing the way that it targets Black women as a demographic, as that target consumer?
I think to the point where, like, it's not a trend, it becomes a lifestyle, a wine lifestyle. And I hope that we're able to, like, lead the way with that. Because you look at a bottle of Domaine Curry, there's nothing calling to it that's going to make you think that it's for one type of demographic. That's not what we're doing here. This is for everybody. Sure. But we want to make sure that we're filling that gap in the marketplace with people who look like us and, you know, maybe do some of the same things we do, to let you know that, hey, wine's approachable. You can enjoy a glass anytime you like, and here are amazing SKUs for you to try that, you know, aren't intimidating.
You're launching a couple of new vintage, or a couple of new models coming out of that 2022 vintage, a blend and a Cabernet Sauvignon. Is that right?
And we're super excited about this vintage. We're about 14, 15 months into this with Prisoner, and so being able to now come to our second vintage with these two wines is so exciting, and we're so excited for the future.
Yeah.
What specific wines are you looking to introduce in years to come? I mean, in terms of like some kind of blueprint, what do you have for 5 years down the road?
I'm like, are we allowed to talk about that? I mean, we are actively working on something that's in a more accessible, approachable, everyday price point, and we're extremely excited about that. That's us listening to our consumer. So we're in the process of that. I mean, we would love to see some bubbles, or a true champagne.
We have a lot of bubbles moments in our family, so it would be nice eventually to have something like that. But it's nice. The sky's the limit, really. So we love all the feedback that we're getting, and just to give more to our consumers.